Hello and welcome to the Fandalorian. I'm your host Craig, and this is where we talk about all things Star Wars. Today I wanted to start by just saying that Kevin will no longer be a co-host on the show. We wish him well, and we hope maybe in the future he could come back as a guest every once in a while and talk to us about his thoughts and insights on Star Wars. So getting right to it with the state of Star Wars, not too long ago you probably heard the news that Gina Carano was fired by Disney for comments she made on Instagram posts. So she was unceremoniously fired, and I say unceremoniously because she wasn't even told that she was fired by Disney. She had to find out on social media first, which is kind of crappy, but I don't know. Also, I'm not going to discuss what she said that got her fired or what she posted. I don't want this to turn into a political show, so I'm going to keep the politics to a minimum here. But she will no longer be playing Cara Dune, unfortunately, because I really thought that was a great character. Even though, fortunately for Disney and Jon Favreau, she wasn't fully developed. Her character, Cara Dune, wasn't fully developed yet, but they had just started delving into her backstory, which I kind of found somewhat interesting, and I wanted to see more and see what her backstory was all about. As you know, they divulged that she was from Alderaan. She had the little tear tattoo which memorialized those that were lost on Alderaan after the Death Star blew it up. And so there were reports that Jon Favreau was very upset about this whole thing because he had big plans for her later on in a spin-off show for the Mandalorian called Rangers of the New Republic. And this show, I guess, was going to feature her and other Rangers as she was an ex-Republic commando, and that was probably going to delve more into her backstory as like what happened beforehand. And now Disney at first said they were probably going to recast the character Cara Dune, and then Favreau went to Disney and he was like, I don't want Cara Dune recast at all. I don't want this to happen. Just forget about it or whatever. And he was pretty upset about it, I guess. So now they're making a statement. Lucasfilm has made a statement that they will not recast Cara Dune at all, which I agree with because I'm not a big fan of recasting actors or recasting characters with new actors, unless it's like maybe it worked with Ben Kenobi because obviously you had different time periods and you could kind of get away with that. But I even am all for what they did with Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian with the CGI with on his face instead of recasting a new character. I think that worked really well with the technology that we have today. I think it looked good. And like I said, I'm not a big fan. I think you lose a lot in the immersion when you recast a character and it just doesn't look right. So I'm glad that they're not doing that, even though I'm still just kind of sad that we're never gonna really see the backstory for this character and who she was because I thought she was a really cool character, but like I said, fortunately for Disney, they hadn't developed her that far along, and she wasn't a huge main character, so writing her off the show is probably not going to be a hard thing or as big of a deal. But then you also now I guess there's this movement hashtag cancel Disney Plus, and I don't know how big this movement is. I just heard about it, and I was trying to look into it and see, but I guess there's a group of people canceling their Disney subscriptions over the Gina Carano firing. And I don't know how, like I said, I don't know how big it is. I don't know how much of an impact it's going to have on Disney Plus subscriptions. when they come out with Disney comes out with their subscription numbers for for last month and then for this month, I guess maybe we could compare them with the numbers before she got fired and see. But that'll be something that could keep an eye on. I really hope it doesn't. I don't think it's gonna really hurt Disney a lot. Disney's huge, but you never know what's gonna happen. And they also have WandaVision for the Marvel, which is probably boosted their subscriptions a lot because there's a lot of Marvel fans out there, myself included. But anyways, getting on to other new news, these Star Wars also announced the Bad Batch, the date for the Bad Batch, the show that follows the exploits of the Clone Force 99 specialist troopers that have each with their own clone troopers, each with their own special like specialty, I guess, special skill set. And they were introduced in season 7, episode 1, and they were it was a good show. I liked that episode. So I think this will be, if they do it right, which they probably will, because David Filoni is in charge of this, I believe. And I'm sure it'll be a good show, and I can't wait to watch this. So it's going to come out on May 4th this year, 2021. And that's Star Wars Day, and I believe that's a Wednesday. And then every subsequent episode will come out on Fridays, like Disney Plus likes to do. They like to come out with their new shows on Friday for whatever reason. So that'll be something we can look forward to. All right, and we also have the man who took a thermal detonator and stuck it up the wazoo of Star Wars, the giant of Star Wars, and blasted it to smithereens and created a divide between new fans and old fans, unfortunately. So I'm talking about the anti-Favreau, the man himself, Rian Johnson, is still persisting and moving on with a new Star Wars trilogy that he wants to make. So there are also talks that David Benioff and D.B. Weiss were working on their own trilogy for Star Wars, them being the main Game of Thrones writers. But then that was canceled, probably because of the dismal season 8 of Game of Thrones, most likely, if I had to guess why. But yeah, that's not going to be a thing. But Rian Johnson, unfortunately, we probably still have a lot of time. Maybe there's some kind of thing we could do. We could sign a petition. I don't know if there's one out there. There's probably one out there already. I'm sure there's enough people out there that were so turned off by The Last Jedi that there's got to be some kind of petition or something that we can get going to show Disney just how much we don't want this man in charge of any more Star Wars shows. Just keep Favreau going, working on things. Favreau, Filoni, and everything will be fine. Because thank God for Favreau, because he brought that old Star Wars back right when we needed it the most, after Rian Johnson and the newest trilogy just trashed and just crapped all over the franchise and was just like an insult to old school Star Wars fans. But anyways, we've talked about that a lot on the shows before. Speaking of disappointments, I watched Wonder Woman 1984, and the reason I bring this up is because Patty Jenkins was the director for this, and she's also was picked to be the director for the new Star Wars Rogue Squadron movie that's going to be coming out in Christmas of 2023. So that's quite a ways off too. But unfortunately, this Wonder Woman 1984 was a hot piece of steaming garbage. It was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It was ridiculous. It was just so bad that now I'm wondering if this is going to be a good idea to have her be in charge of this new Rogue Squadron movie, which I had also had high hopes for. So there's just a couple things that have been going wrong for Star Wars and Disney here. So yeah, as I said before, with like the Rangers of the New Republic, which is now probably going to be canceled because of the whole Gina Carano fiasco, which is unfortunate because I was really looking forward to that show. It was supposed to cross over with The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, which I'm still very excited about. And nothing better happened to that show, for the love of God. And then the Ahsoka series was also going to be intertwined with this Rangers of the New Republic. But now that Rangers of the New Republic is gone, I don't know if that screws up a lot of the writing or how much writing they've done already with this or what's going to happen. So there's just a couple of disturbances in the force here. But some, like I said, some good things to look forward to, like the Bad Batch. We still have, I can't wait for the Obi-Wan series when that comes out later on. I think that's supposed to be the end of this year, 2021. And even though I wasn't a big Hayden Christensen fan, there's a lot of excitement for him coming back. So we'll see. I'll keep an open mind about him. I just didn't think he was that great an actor in the original trilogy or the prequels. Not the original trilogy. Yeah, so basically that's what we're dealing with the news in Star Wars and the state of Star Wars. And now I will go on to my next segment, which I'd like to talk about trading cards. The Star Wars trading cards that I used to collect when I was a kid from the 70s and the 80s. These were, you probably remember them if you're around my age. Maybe you collected them yourself. They came in a small pack. There was like, had a piece of gum with it, like this really small like strip of gum that I don't know. And there were stickers as well. Now, I was thinking when I prepared to do this segment of the show, I was thinking about it and I was like, wow, I wonder if any of those cards are worth anything. And I started researching online to see what these cards were going for. And because I have the whole Empire Strikes Back set and I have a lot of doubles and duplicates of it as well. And I have quite a few of the old Star Wars, the original 1977-78 cards from New Hope. And those came in like different colored borders, like green, yellow, orange, red, and blue. And they were pretty cool. So my dad used to go out and he would buy a pack like at the gas station or a convenience store or whatever. When I was a little kid, he'd come back and he'd like hide them under my pillow, which was pretty cool. And then I'd find them there in the morning, kind of like the Tooth Fairy leaving me cards or something, but I didn't have to give any teeth up. So that was fun. So I ended up with a lot of cards. And I remember there was this one year I needed, for the Empire Strikes Back set, I needed one card. There was one card left that I couldn't get. It was called Princess Lends a Hand. And it shows her wearing welding goggles, and she's working on the Millennium Falcon after, trying to repair the hyperdrive and all that, after all the damage it sustained when they were hiding down in the cavern, which turned out to be the stomach of some great space whale. So that card, I could not find it no matter what. I bought packs and packs and packs, and I was driving myself crazy, and I couldn't get this card. And I was like, this card's going to be super rare or something. Maybe they only printed a few of them. I don't know what's going on. So one summer back in the 80s, I was at my grandparents' house up in Maine. And we go to the store called King's, which is, I think that chain is long gone now. But anyways, we're in the store. And they sold the Star Wars trading cards in a huge pack. Sometimes they'll sell them in those small packs I was telling you about, but then they had these huge 100-card packs. And they're all like hanging on the hooks. And I remember walking by, and that's the only card I needed. And wouldn't you know it, of course, There was one sitting there right in the front of the pack, like under the plastic, just sitting there. It said Princess lends a hand, but it was in the 100 card pack. So I had to beg my parents to buy me a 100 card pack, even though I only needed that one card. And I guess I made a good case because they got it for me, and I ended up with completing the set by doing that. So I looked up these cards, and I looked on a site that had them listed, and there's some guy that sells baseball cards too, and he had them all price listed, and some of them were going for like $8 a piece, which isn't bad for like how cheap these things were. And then I saw one that Princess Lends a Hand was only like a few dollars. So I was like, oh, that's kind of weird, you know? Was I the only one who had that problem of finding it? I don't know. But then we had one called Star Lovers, where Han and Leia are kissing on the Falcon, and that one actually went for it was like $18 or something. I don't know why, but so I was like, looking through that. It's very interesting. But then I found, I guess, the holy grail of the Star Wars cards, the one that's worth the most for a weird reason, and it's from the 77 set, the Green Border series. It shows C3PO sporting a huge golden boner, I guess. I don't know how this happened, why a picture with looks like some kind of robot penis is like just on there. And I don't know how that got through editing or whatever, but it made it. And then I guess there was a whole bunch of like parents who were upset about it because here their kids are like getting these packs and they're opening like the cards, and then they see C3PO there in all his glory with that sticking right out of the card. Or so a bunch of parents decided to, get up in arms and complain to Tops or whatever, and they had this reprinted. So it's turned into a very sought after card. Now, if you have this card, I looked on eBay, and right now it's going for somewhere like in the upwards of $600, something like $600 or $700 or so. But it's probably got to be in mint condition, I assume. So if you have that card, definitely either hold on to it or sell it or whatever, but don't wreck it. Whatever you do. All right. So, and then with the Empire Strikes Back cards, there was the most valuable card in the Empire Strikes Back cards with like I said, with the Princess Lends a Hand in it and all that, was of all things, a card checklist. There was a rare card checklist. You had these cards that you got in the set that would have the listing of like the cards and like check boxes next to them, and you could mark a check in the box if you had the card. God forbid, because a lot of kids put the checks in them and then you wreck the card for collectability. But we're kids, we don't know anything back then about that. We didn't keep our action figures in the boxes and not play with them, or else we didn't know they were going to be worth so much money, and even if we did, we probably wouldn't care and we'd still rip into them. So the second checklist was really rare for some reason. I don't know why they made a checklist rare. And I looked on eBay, that sells for around $50. So, which is it's weird. A checklist going for that much money, but I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. So I guess I'm going to look through all my cards and see how many extras I have of these, if I have any. I don't know. But I know I have the complete set of the Empire Strikes Back series that they had. So, anyways, that's what I wanted to talk about today. Most of these, I'll talk about what I'm going to do, what I'm planning to do in the future for these videos. Is basically we're going to talk about different aspects of Star Wars. Probably mostly older Star Wars or Mandalorian type Star Wars, just things that and then we could talk about the Star Wars I don't like as well, just so you know where I'm coming from and why I don't like the Last Jedi and all that. We could talk about those things, but that's what I want to do in the future for this show until they start coming out with the Obi-Wan series and the Mandalorian comes back, and then the Book of Boba Fett, and then I will also be reviewing these shows like Kevin and I did earlier with the Mandalorian. I'll be going over the shows after they're done and telling you my thoughts on them and what we might have missed with them and what the significance of certain scenes were, and also like Easter eggs or whatever, and some fun things about the show. So in the meantime, before we get a show that I can do that with, I will be putting together these shorter videos and talking about things like this, like the trading cards, and then maybe different ships or the Jedi. Or there's a whole slew of things that I could talk about. But what I'm going to do for next week, I have a fun idea already planned for next week's video. And it might be a little bit longer than this one, or a lot longer, I don't know. But it's going to be a lot of fun. So I invite you to come back, and I hope to see you next week. And also, if let me know what you think about, without getting too political, I guess, let me know what you thought about the Gina Carano firing on the comments down below. And if you were a big Cardoon fan and you're going to miss seeing that character in the show, or if not, tell me why, for both sides, why you either liked her or you didn't like her as the character, Cara Dune. And I look forward to seeing those and seeing your responses for that. So don't forget to like if you like this, and please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of my videos. And I'll see you next week with a new show.